Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for watching today. We have an exciting session here. It was great the first day, awful the second. I mean, the second day was my worst day of poker probably ever, just by the amount of beats I took. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. All right, we're in for 500. Look down at 10-7 of clubs in the big blind. We get a bunch of limpers and we take our free flop. Flop comes 10-8-3 with 2 spades. Not ideal, but we do have top pair. I check it to see what the other people will do. And the player in the hijack ends up betting $10. So for $10, I'm definitely going to peel. See another card. I don't really care for my hand too much. And we get 2 more callers behind. So we see a turn card of a 6 of clubs. This gives us a gut shot draw with our top pair. I check. It gets checked to the same player. Puts out a small bet of $15. Very small. I call and hoping not to get check raised by anyone. And the other 2 players also put in the call. So I'm beginning to think my 10 might be the best. I might be outkicked by the other player who's betting. The river card is the king of spades, which completes the front door flush draw. I check, and now the player who is in middle position bets out $45 with this flush card. The other player folds, and then the player who was leading the entire way looks at his cards and tosses them in the muck. And now it's back to me. And I'm trying to put the story together. I don't think he has a flush. I mean, it's a strange way. I think he would bet his flush draw. And I'm trying to figure out how he got there with a king. I'm having a hard time putting the pieces together and what kind of hand he has. And then he says, "Doug, I'll show you one." He goes, "Which one do you want to see?" I go, "The one on the right." So he turns over the card and it's the 7 of hearts. And I'm thinking, okay, I can tie 10-7, but does he have 7-9? He would have raised on the turn. He can't have 7-9. Does he have king 7? What kind of king 7 would get there? I couldn't figure out any kind of king 7 that would get there. And I'm going, well, there's a lot I can't beat, but I think I'm going to have to pay you off. And I gave him a call, and he shows ace 7 offsuit. I think he would have been better off showing me the ace of spades. That would have put at least a little more doubt in my mind. But I think I was calling either way. I just couldn't figure out how he would have a hand that's better. There's a new player just sat down a little while ago. He's definitely in the mood to gamble. He has a bear in his hand and he has a bunch of white chips in his pocket. There is a $6 straddle, and the new player who's willing to gamble opens for 6. Next player calls 6. I decide to raise with Jack 10 of diamonds. Player behind me puts in the quick call. And now back to the new player who sat down, and he has $119 left, and he says, let's just get it all in. He puts in 119. I make a quick call. He's there to gamble. I have a hand that plays well. I'm going to play with him. Normally I wouldn't be calling a all-in jam for $119, but with this player, he can have just about 82 cards. The player behind me actually starts to put out the chips to make a call. I was a little bit surprised. I didn't think he was coming, but I'm okay with that. I have a hand that plays well, so we'll see what happens on the flop. Flop is, well, you would say it's favorable. It comes queen 3-9 with all diamonds. So I decided to just jam because I'm pretty sure that my opponent would call with any pair, and maybe even with any diamond. He only has about $90 left in his stack, and I didn't want another scare card to come up. So if he has anything, I think he's going to be calling just for the pot odds that are out there. He says something about, I can't lay it down, there's too much money in the pot, and puts in the call. And I said, oops, well, I think I got you. I got a straight flush draw, and I roll over my Jack 10, just as the dealer puts out the king of diamonds to give me the king high straight flush. River card comes as a 3. He shows me that he had the 3 of clubs, so he probably have a hand like ace 3 suited and called with bottom pair. So we're off to a good start. I'm in the cutoff with 2 black 8s. There was a few limpers, so I raised to 15, and just about everybody puts in the call. So we're going to go 6 ways to a flop with 93 in the center. And the flop is pretty good. It comes out all little cards. 5, 6, deuce with 2 clubs. Person in the small blind just jams for $100, and that's all he has. And everyone else started folding. I'm thinking, what could he do this with? He could have 6-5, possibly. Or he could have a flush draw, more likely. He might even do this with just top pair. Either way, I don't think I'm getting away from this, so I flick in the chip. Everyone else folds out, and we see a run out of a 10 of diamonds and a 6 of hearts. He says he has 2 pair, and he shows me a 7 and another 7. So we win this one with our 8s. One of the more conservative players opens for a raise to 10. I've seen him do this with big hands. We get a bunch of callers, so I decided to call with pocket 9s on the button to set mine. Sometimes this is a 3-bet, other times it's a flat. I decided a flat, and the flop comes 9, 3, deuce with 2 clubs. It gets checked all the way around to me, which was kind of surprising. I put out a small bet for $15 just to see if someone was maybe slow playing a pocket pair like 10s or jacks, hoping for a check raise. But instead I just get one caller from a middle position player who only has about 150 left in his stack. And we're going to see a turn card of a 7 of clubs. Not my favorite card. It brings in the front door flush. He checks again. I think he was probably just calling with some overcards to the 9. I put out a small bet for $40, and he quickly folds, and we take this small pot down. So first day in, book a nice win. Everything's rosy, and then comes the next day. The very first pot the next day, I decided to try to get someone to lay down top pair with ace-jack suited against his king-jack on a king-high board. It didn't work out. Reload for 500. Pick up pocket jacks, open for a raise on a killed pot. We get 2 callers. So we have 64 in, and we get to see a flop of, you guessed it, jack 7-4 with 2 hearts. So top set, I'm a little steamed. I'm not going to get cute here. I'm just going to bet out 2/3 pot. I make it 40. I get a quick call from the player on my left. The other player folds out. Most likely hand he has is some sort of flush draw. So I'm thinking of betting pretty close to pot on a blank. Turn is a 9 of clubs, so it does put out a potential straight, but I still feel he has more flushes, flush draws in his range. So I decided to bet almost pot 120. I don't think he's getting the right price to draw, and he goes into the tank and starts thinking about it. So when he's thinking about it, I'm thinking he's trying to figure out whether he has the right price or not. And after a while of thinking, he decides that he's getting a good enough price to make the call. And he ends up putting in $120. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, only thing we need is a blank. Only thing we need is a blank. And for the river card we get, you guessed it, a 3 of hearts. Absolutely not a blank. Probably the worst card you can put up there besides like a 10 of hearts. I guess the 10 of hearts would have been the worst. Anyway, he puts out $115, and I'm just want to throw up. I should probably fold this. I put him on a flush draw. The flush draw gets there. Not too many other draws out there that he could have had. I haven't seen him bluff yet. This is a fold. But I make a bad call, and I stick it in there, and he shows the king 7 of hearts. So he flopped a pair in the flush draw. He probably thought he was getting the right price.
If you think you're beat, just fold.
A few hands later, I look down at 10-8 of clubs. I open from middle position with a raise on a straddle pot to 20. It's a pretty loose open in my book, but I'm still a little bit steamed from getting the jacks cracked. Player to my left puts in the call, and so does the big blind. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop with 67 in the pot. Flop comes pretty darn good. King, jack, 6, 2 clubs. So we got a flush draw. We have some backdoor draws also for straights. I decided to lead it at 30. Looking at this, I'm thinking maybe I can probably go a little smaller on this, but I was hoping to fold out hands that had equity, like maybe second pair. Anyone with a king would probably continue. The player to my left puts in the call, and now it's back on the player in the big blind. He also feels like he is worthy of $30. Turn card comes is a 8 of hearts, so it puts out a backdoor flush draw and also gives me a pair to go along with my flush draw. First player checks. I decided to check this just because I'm pretty sure the player behind me has a king, and I don't know, I was hoping to get there cheaply, but he puts out a bet of $75. Maybe a smart thing would have been to put in a blocker size bet for the draw, but I thought that would look a little fishy. But for $75, I got a pair, I got a flush draw, I got the same type of hand he had against me when I had a set. I'm going, well, maybe it's time for me to get him back. We go see a river card of, you guessed it, a 4 hearts. So we brick out, I check it, I'm not going to stab at this. He has a king, I'm not going to be able to get him to fold it. He checks it back, I told him I have a pair of 8s, and he rolls over king queen and takes it down. You kind of know it's going to be a rough day when they make their flushes and you don't make yours. I look down at ace king offsuit. I was the $6 straddler. I get a couple limpers. I decide to raise it to 36. First limper decides he's going with his hand and he jams all in for $81. There's no way I'm folding. I put in the call. Flop is decent. It comes 5-3-5. Turn card is a jack of clubs I didn't care for. Queen is not good either. And he shows me that he had jack 10 offsuit and takes this one down. I have the $6 straddle. The player on my left opens for 35. The player on my right puts in the call, and so do I with ace 3 of clubs. Flop comes 10 deuce 4 with 2 clubs. So excellent flop for me. It gets checked to the player on my left, who puts out a big bet for $100 into a $115 pot. This makes me feel like he has a hand like pocket jacks, pocket queens, maybe pocket kings. But with one overcard, a flush draw, and a gutter to a straight, I think I'm going to have to continue. But I don't want to continue by calling, so that means I'm going to be jamming. So I put in my stack. It's about $420. He looks at it for a while, and then he goes into the tank. Now, I'm pretty sure he has some sort of overpair, but I can have pocket 10s, pocket deuces, pocket 4s. I would play it the same way. Or I can have a hand like I currently have, a big flush draw. Anyway, after probably about 2 or 3 minutes, he finally puts in the call, and we get to see a run out. Looking to finally make a flush or a straight, we get the 2 of hearts on the turn and a queen of spades on the river. I tell him I miss, and he ends up showing pocket aces. After that hand, I decided to move over to the 2-5 game, where things are not going well also. I end up getting in total for the 2 games of $2,000. I stopped vlogging when I moved over to the 2-5, just because I wanted to concentrate on the actual game. And so I buy in for an additional $1,000, so now I'm in for a total of $3,000. So far today, I haven't won a pot over $100 all day long. I won a couple small ones, but that's about it. The game's been mostly playing 2-5-10. Everyone's been straddling. I'm the only one that's not straddling. Not because I'm not willing to gamble. It's just that I just don't have the bankroll for this 2-5-10. So I'm trying to play 2-5 when everyone else is playing 2-5-10. The pots are still getting big, and this is one of them. I open for a raise to 35, get a quick call from the player behind me in the low jack, the hijack, the button, the small blind. We go 5 ways to a flop of queen 10-3 with 2 hearts. So we hit middle set, and the small blind leads out quickly for 125. I'm not going to fool around. I put in the raise to 350. It's folded back around to the small blind, who puts in the call. We see a turn card of a queen of clubs. He checks it over to me. I decide to bet 350. I want him to continue with his flush draws. And he thinks for a little bit before he jams. And I was kind of surprised. I thought, well, maybe he's slow playing a hand like queen 10. Anyway, I'm calling. I flick it in. We see a run out of a 7 diamonds. He ends up showing ace jack of hearts. So I'm surprised he didn't get there, but I'm very happy to take this one down. It is the first real pot I drug all day, and I'm that much closer to getting even. So I'm thinking maybe the worm has turned, and I'm up to 2,100. Still in for 3,000 though. So about 20 minutes later, I look down at 2 aces from the low jack, open for 35, end up getting a couple callers, one from the button, one from the small blind. The small blind has been holding over me all day long, haven't won a pot off him at all, not even a whiff. Anyway, the flop comes ace 10 4 with 2 diamonds. So great flop. Small blind leads for $100. I put in the call. I should probably just be raising here, and the player behind me puts in the call also for 100. So we're going to go see a turn card with 420 in of an 8 of clubs. Another great card. This time the player in the small blind leads for 175. Thinking, okay, let's put a little raise in here. I raised it to 500, which is way too small. Looking back on this, I'm thinking, what the hell was I thinking? I'm putting him on a flush draw. And if I want to really price him out of a flush draw or make him pay for his flush draw, I should be probably raising this to like $700 or $800 at least. Anyway, he's happy to put in the call. And now we got 1420 in there, looking for a clean non-diamond on the river. And we get the 9 of hearts. Now the player in the small blind open jams for $720. And I'm thinking, oh shit. Does this guy really have queen, jack of diamonds? That's the only thing that makes sense. What else would he be doing this with? Maybe 10-9 of diamonds? I don't know. I think this is a fold, but I mean, I'm shaking my head. I go, all right, I call. Show me what you got. And he shows me the queen, jack of diamonds. So my horrible raise size on the turn was too inviting for this player. And he comes and makes his hand. I should assume that he had a flush draw, which I did. What I didn't really count in is that he could have a hand like a double gutter with it and give him an extra 6 outs. I played this hand about as bad as you can play it, and I got punished every step of the way. I should have just folded on the river for the $720 and fought another hand.
For the sake of the family bankroll, maybe I should be playing in the meetup game.
So I'm in for 4,000 now, and I look down at 2 kings and the low jack, same position, basically the same players. I open again for 35. Button puts in the call. Small blind puts in the call. We're going 3 ways to a flop. It's just like a repeat. It's like Groundhog Day all over again. Flop comes queen, jack, 6 with 2 hearts. Small blind leads into me again, 125. I just flat again with my pocket kings. Player on the button puts in the call. Turn card comes, you guessed it, king of spades. Small blind leads again, this time for 150. I'm thinking maybe the player on the button has some sort of flush draw, so I decided to raise to 500. I want to kind of price him out if he has a flush draw. He ends up folding, and now it's back over to the player in the small blind, who goes into the tank for a little bit, thinking about his hand. I'm hoping he has something like pocket 6s, maybe queen jack. And he decides that he wanted to continue, but not for 500. He puts me all in. He basically jams. He has me covered. He has 3,500 in front of him. And I just go, oh no, here we go again. Okay, He has a straight. He probably has a hand like 9-10, maybe 9-10 of hearts. Who knows? But I'm getting basically 3-1 on calling with a set. And there is a chance that he has a set of sixes or two pair. So I call off my last $650. River card comes as a 9 of clubs, hoping that he just has a set. And instead he shows me 9-10 of diamonds. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate your support. Don't forget our meetup game is this Saturday, July 24th, 2 p.m. start time. Hope you can make it. You can get some of my dough. It's flowing right now, so here's your opportunity. Anyway, appreciate your support. See you next time. Good luck at the tables.